Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. This is a brand new What If. What if Tanjiro got Zenkai boost? And yes, this will be a shorter video because I'm gonna be honest. I could yap on for all the little stuff, but in all honesty, there's not really a ton of stuff that goes on within the story that will be, super interesting, at least not like right off the bat. He doesn't have any special powers. He just literally has Zenkai boosts. So he's not a Saiyan, he's not any of that. He just has the idea of a Zenkai boost. AKA, if you don't know what that is, it is basically just the idea of when you get hurt to a large degree or are close to death, you get way stronger when you get healed up. And I thought this would be perfect for someone like Tanjiro, so I wanted to talk about a what if involving it. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, before we get into it, though, I want you to check the links in the description for the Discord, the Spotify, and or the membership. If you want to check those things out, you could always just check those out later or just not check them out at all. It's up to you, of course. Now, with that said, if you guys enjoy, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into the video. So, let's get it. For starters, Tanjiro Kamado is born, and nothing goes different, right? His life very early on goes very, very similar, if not exactly the same. Even when he saves his sister or grabs his sister up and she becomes a demon and all these things, and even to when he throws the hatchet in the sky to try to strike down Giyu Tomioka. This is where things do change partially when Giyu hits and knocks out Tanjiro and slightly injures him. Now, it doesn't make that big of a difference, but when Tanjiro wakes up and he starts healing or kind of recovering from that one singular blow, he gets a tiny bit stronger. Now, nothing crazy at all, but a tiny bit stronger. He doesn't even notice it at this point, but what he doesn't know is that he's going to get even stronger as they progress. Now, the rest of the stuff goes exactly the same. You have him training with Urokodaki, and throughout this time, he does get some Zenkai boosts, but these are also very minor as well, because he does get hurt from time to time, but it's not some massive injury and some massive, kind of time where he gets really, really hurt. But at the same time, it does benefit him. Like, this training he does is a lot more fruitful and a lot better in terms of physical strength because of the many Zenkais he gets throughout the entirety of the training. And then as we progress and as we finish up the training and as we head to the final selection, Tanjiro would see the same idea go through, him getting stronger when he faces off with various demons that are within the forest. Now, immediately he doesn't get the Zenkai boost because he has to fight throughout these 7 days of the final selection. But eventually, when he goes back, he gets healed up entirely, and he feels completely good after, defeating all the demons and, getting his Nichiren blade. He would get a substantial boost in his own power, and before you know it, he would actually start realizing it. He would start basically picking things up. He would start breaking things a little bit easier, and he's like, whoa, this is interesting. He doesn't know exactly where it's coming from, but for some reason, he is way stronger than he normally is. I mean, by way stronger, I mean, to an extent, right? He's not like 4 times, 5 times stronger or anything like that, but he's a little bit stronger to the point where he's definitely noticing his abilities and his strength being a good bit higher. Obviously, this leads him to facing off with the Swamp Demon and eventually going off to the city that never sleeps. But the fight against the Swamp Demon itself would be a lot easier and a simpler fight. In fact, he wouldn't get hurt during this fight, and he really wouldn't get hurt for quite a while. So everything involving, Muzan and Leretamiao and stuff like that would go exactly the same, except for, he would probably do a little bit better. Like, Tanjiro would be a little bit stronger for the fight against Susumaru and Yahaba. And on top of that, he would be a little bit stronger for the fight against someone like Kyogai. But the thing against Kyogai is he would actually take a good little bit of damage. Now, it wouldn't be substantial damage, but it would be enough for him to feel a little bit, bruised up, a little bit injured, a little bit tired, and all these above. And when he kind of takes that break when they go to the older lady's house, him, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, when they're all within that house and they're, kind of chilling, eat some food, they go to sleep and stuff like that, he would get a tiny boost as well during this time, being that he had a good tiny bit of time to heal up and just, kind of get fully acclimated to whatever bruises and kind of injuries that he had. But all that combined, he doesn't really get a ton of more power or a ton of strength. Like, it's not like he's way stronger than the original, but he is stronger than the original Tanjiro. Like, he is maybe, I would say, 1.2 times stronger than the original Tanjiro. Yeah, I would say around that, right? He has those Zenkai boosts that made him a little tiny bit stronger, so I could see him being that tiny bit stronger than the original. And this would eventually lead him to fighting against Rui after he faces off with various other demons. Now, obviously, we know the demons he faces off with. He faces off with, the mother spider demon, the father spider demon, but all those fights go exactly the same, all the way leading up until Rui, which this is a fight he will still lose, but the injuries in this fight, they're a little less worse because he's a little stronger, but they're still apparent enough and quite a bit enough to the point where, like, he does get a lot from this fight. He fights against Rui, not alongside Rui, but against Rui with the Hinokami Kagura, and he utilizes it to its highest degree he possibly can at this moment. And eventually, after losing to Rui, at least barely, like we're talking barely losing to Rui after all the entire scuffle that occurs, eventually Gyu would show up and assist Tanjiro, or aka just defeat Rui himself. And Tanjiro would get up and would thank him, obviously, but he would be pretty injured at this point. Cuts on his body from the strings that Rui has been throwing. And then eventually he would also get pretty injured from getting kicked in the head by Canal. Now, these injuries are going to be substantial for Tanjiro because these injuries will make him a lot stronger, like quite a bit stronger. That 1.2 might just turn into a 2x, if not even a little bit more than that. Now, obviously, the things that happen normally with Shinobu and all of them go exactly the same, right? Tanjiro doesn't really try to fight back against Canal. That's not really his style. He's not going to fight back. He's not going to, try to fend her off and stuff like that. But he does allow Nezuko to get away for the moment until the crows call and basically tell them, that Tanjiro Kambados should be taken back to, yada yada, right, to the Butterfly Mansion and stuff like that. And that's exactly what ensues. Tanjiro gets brought back to the Butterfly Mansion, and he's pretty injured at this point, but he is recovering, and his rehabilitation, after obviously the same things happen like normal, his rehabilitation training is when he sees the most growth out of everything, because he learns some new techniques and stuff like that, but fully kind of healing up is something very important for Tanjiro right now. He heals up entirely, and he is way stronger. He is way stronger, and people are seeing it. Nosuke, Zenitsu, other people that are working with them, they're bringing it up. They're like, whoa, you are powerful. Like, you're way stronger than we thought you were, and it seems like you're making leaps, greater leaps than what most people are as well. And Tanjiro, he kind of realizes this as well. He believes, he's like, yeah, I don't know why exactly I'm making these leaps and why I'm pushing the boundaries of my powers so quickly and so much. But obviously he has other things he's worrying about and trying to figure out, and that is, with sun breathing. So he does kind of disembark on trying to find the Flame Hashira to learn more about sun breathing, or try to figure out more about sun breathing. So he goes with Zenitsu Anosuke to go meet with Kyojuro Rengoku for the very first time. Now, obviously, they watch Rengoku defeat a couple demons, or the train demons, and eventually they get put to sleep. Now, that whole scene and that whole scenario, that goes very, very similar, if not exactly the same. And then Tanjiro would also have a chance to fight against Enmu, which Tanjiro is stronger by a good margin against Enmu, so he doesn't take any real damage here, at least not against Enmu. He takes very little And yeah, I mean, he does, get hit from time to time from certain things. But overall, I mean, he's not taking damage from Enmu, and he's able to defeat Enmu with the help of Inosuke, and then with Zenitsu clearing carts with Rengoku. But the main thing is the eventual arrival of Akaza. And this is where I think things could go drastically insane. Because this is a version of Tanjiro who, well, let's just keep it blunt. Tanjiro is not tired necessarily here, or at least not hurt. So he could see himself, or could see him decide, oh, you know what? I'm going to go try to help. I'm going to try to help help Rengoku as like the last second, try to, get a surprise attack on Akaza and try to do this and that. And yeah, he is stronger, like quite a bit stronger, in fact. But it doesn't change the fact that, yeah, if he goes in and he gets caught off guard, there's a good chance that he gets, absolutely destroyed, or at least injured to a large degree. Because the last thing you want to do is just run in blind against someone like Akaza. And you got to be very careful. And frankly enough, he is careful. But let's be honest, this is a very, very powerful demon that they are dealing with. A demon that is far from a joke, and really no joke, in fact. So if he goes in kind of blind and like to the idea of like how strong Akaza really is, he goes in there, tries to help out. Just because he's stronger does not mean he's more prepared fully and kind of ready to even face off with someone like Akaza. And the main reason why he really isn't prepared is the fact that he doesn't know anything about Akaza's ability to fight, his kind of fighting spirit and all those things. He has no idea about any of it. So yeah, he goes in, he tries his best to kind of give Rengoku an opening, but that opening isn't there for a very long time. And Akaza would strike Tanjiro pretty badly, like hitting him and really hurting Tanjiro, sending him flying and basically putting him in a critical condition. And Rengoku, well, he tells the other two that they need to get Tanjiro out of here right now, that this fight is his and his alone. And eventually that fight would continue on, and Inosuke and Zenitsu would get Tanjiro out of there. But the thing is, when he gets Tanjiro out of there, when they get Tanjiro out of there, eventually they would hear the crows cawing about the idea that Kyojuro Rengoku, the Flame Hashira, was killed in battle facing Upper Moon 3. And this, well, when Tanjiro is out cold, basically only seeing little blurs and hearing little murmurs of what's going on, that would really mess with Tanjiro. A beaten and battered version of Tanjiro would be out cold, defeated, and on top of that has lost a Hashira that he knew very little about, but grew so close to in a matter of just hours. And what he doesn't know truly is if he was basically affected the inevitable outcome of him being defeated. And maybe if Tanjiro didn't do that, maybe Rengoku could have gotten a proper, chance to actually end the fight. He doesn't know, and he kind of blames himself, and he's out for quite a little bit, like, a couple weeks at least. But with this happening and with the whole thing of Akaza ensuing, I mean, this is a large power boost. Like, we're talking about a power boost that is nowhere near just 2 times. I mean, it's a pretty damn substantial power boost, obviously putting Tanjiro at a very high level in terms of power, because guess what? At the end of the day, Tanjiro almost died here. He almost was killed, making him far stronger than normal and far stronger than basically he's been ever during this time. And especially if you compare it to the past, or compare it to the Tanjiro of the original timeline of Demon Slayer, because this version of Tanjiro would be way stronger, way more powerful, and way more capable, especially after healing up from the wounds of Akaza. Now, eventually they would have him fully recovered, fully back in order. but he would still, meet up with the Rengoku family, learn more about sun breathing, and his higher level of strength kind of allows him to utilize sun breathing techniques a lot easier, utilize other techniques so much simpler, and utilize just even training to a higher degree because of how much his body is able to endure now and push himself through. And eventually they would have the entertainment district where he would face off with Daki and Gyutaro with the help of obviously Tengen, Inosuke, and Zenitsu. But this fight, this is a Tanjiro at arguably like the same strength level of a Hashira, because this version of Tanjiro physically is on the same capability and level of Hashira themselves, maybe even as strong as the strongest Hashira in terms of physical capabilities. Now, in terms of technique, no, he's not on that level, right? He's not there yet. But in terms of just raw power, strength, and all the above, I mean, he might just be on that level. So when he fights against Gyutaro, his attacks would be doing one hell of a crazy damage, right? He would be doing crazy damage. But the difference is his kind of speed, or maybe not his speed, but his technique, his ability to really strike people down and stuff like that just isn't at the level that it needs to be. But at the same time, he is pushing against Gyutaro, absolutely pushing the fight against him. And obviously, when he faced off with Daki, I mean, it was simple work for Tanjiro based on just his raw strength and speed, just lack of technique. But he's still technique-wise the same technique skill of what he would be in the original version of Demon Slayer, just physically faster and stronger than the original. And when Tanjiro continues kind of, battling against Gyutaro, he would get injured, and like a substantial amount of injury. Like he would get injured a good little bit. There's no way around that one. I mean, that is definitely, injuries will happen, but at the same time, he's not as injured as he would have been in the original of Demon Slayer. Now, this would lead them to eventually defeating Gyutaro, where Tanjiro awakens his Demon Slayer mark and eventually defeats Gyutaro, slicing through his neck. And this would obviously lead to Tanjiro kind of going back, rehabilitating after, that crazy fight against a upper moon, at least the lower upper moon, but still an upper moon. He recovers and he gets drastically stronger. Now, the boost in strength isn't as big as the boost from Akaza, but it is pretty close, because as the Zenkais progress, the stronger the Zenkais kind of start to peak out. It seems like the Zenkais themselves are actually getting way stronger as Tanjiro, gets a chance at getting more recovered here, more recovered there. And at this point, the other Hashira are believing that Tanjiro's strength comes from him getting injured to an extent. Now, they don't know what exactly kind of contributes to it. Like, they don't know for sure. They don't know if it's because he's getting injured, or because, he's getting injured and then healed up, or what it has to do with anything, right? He doesn't know. But at the same time, they do wonder, like, his strength level, his ability, like, to his speed and strength level is way greater than anything someone has seen. And when they see him training, like before he goes off to the swordsmith's village, when they see him training, they're thinking, holy crap, this kid is ridiculous. His strength, his speed, everything, all of the above is off the freaking charts. And they're thinking to themselves, like, wait, I mean, we need to really keen in on what this kid can do, because he might just be the reason why they end up actually winning the day when it comes to Muzan and when it comes to the eventual arrival of the final battle between the demons and the humans. Now, Tanjiro does head off and does go to the swordsmith's village, and when they're over there, or over at the village, it seems that it's normal, right? This is just a chance for Tanjiro to train. He trains with the Yorichi Type 0, and he does all these other things as well. But eventually, he would face off with the demon Hantengu. And this fight, yeah, it's a pretty difficult one, but Tanjiro is way stronger and still at the same technique level, but he's going to be maybe even a little bit higher in terms of technique because he obviously got benefits from the Zenkai boost. So it allowed him to train a little bit longer, train a little bit faster, train a little bit more this and that. So yeah, his level is a good bit higher now, including his ability to actually utilize techniques. So at this point, he is going to outclass Hantengu. Like, his strength is beyond your, like, the imagination. Like, his strength is at a ridiculous level. And now it's just him playing catch up with his technique. The eventual defeat of Hantengu would definitely ensue, and we would still get a moment where Nezuko would conquer the sun. And the whole reason for this is because Hantengu basically stalls for time for so long. And the reason why all this happens, right, or the whole sunrise eventually ensues, because Hantengu is taking forever to get killed. So at the end of the day, we still have Nezuko conquer the sun, and the inevitable battle with Muzan is still on the horizon. But the last time that Tanjiro really feels the effects of basically his Zenkai boost would definitely be during the Hashira training arc. Because there's going to be times during this time where he's going to get injured from time to time, but this is where he could truly hone his skills and abilities, and this boosts him to his absolute peak and his absolute highest degree, because his strength and speed are already off the charts ridiculous, but now his technique is at a Hashira level. Yeah, his technique is up there with some of the best, so now he is beyond what you could possibly imagine. His strength and speed is far beyond Hashira, and frankly might be beyond most of the higher ranked demons, because he combines sun breathing with his natural strength and speed and ability. It is ridiculous in terms of the level of strength that Tanjiro Kamado would get to, because let's be honest, he gets injured quite a bit. And even if you just leave it at the injuries that he gets normally and exclude the Akaza injury, because that is one that I came up with myself, but I truly believe if he was stronger and more capable at that point, that he probably would have tried to jump in the fight and probably would have gotten hurt as well throughout that time. Now, he wouldn't have been killed, in my opinion. He has a knack for not getting killed. But at the same time, this would push his potential, his strength, and his ability of just raw strength, speed, and physical capabilities at a ridiculous level. So when he faces off with Akaza, with the help of Giyu Tomioka, this fight would go very different. Not different in the fact that they would lose, but Akaza would be defeated, and he would be in shock, because he's thinking to himself, this can't be happening. Like, how is this kid keeping up, if not outclassing me right now, when I made him look like a joke, quick work, like he was nothing? And Akaza thinks back. He thinks back to it and thinks to the idea or what happened during that time. Him punching Tanjiro and almost ending him. And he wonders to himself initially, like, damn, I wish I would have taken him out. But then he thinks about it. What if it's because I didn't take him out? I didn't end him. It's because of that. I punched him. I hurt him. I made him almost close to death. And he came back. And he came back even stronger. Now, he doesn't obviously understand how it happened, but it's the only lines that are clicking, the only lines that are connecting for him in his brain. Tanjiro Kamado got stronger from being close to death and made it borderline impossible for them to keep up with the strength that he is gaining at a rapid rate. And eventually Tanjiro would find his way to the neck of Akaza, and with the help of Giyu Tomioka, they would defeat him, and this would push Tanjiro to the eventual fight with Muzan Kibutsuji. And this fight, well, let's just say we have a Tanjiro that is just as capable in terms of technique, but is way stronger than normal. Physical speed, strength, and so on, this version of Tanjiro would easily be able to keep up with Muzan, especially with the help of various other Hashira. But honestly, this version of him with Zenkai boost might just make such quick work of Muzan that he doesn't even need help stalling him out all the way to sunrise. But the one scary thing that could potentially happen is Tanjiro getting absorbed by Muzan, and if Muzan got a hold of Tanjiro in this reality, taking over his body, a body that has Zenkai boost and demon healing, it could be one of the scariest duos or the scariest combinations this world has ever seen in its wildest dreams. But I don't believe that would ever happen, because Tanjiro would defeat Muzan. Muzan would be killed by the sun, and the life that they've been wanting forever would ensue, with his sister being cured, with him, leaving and having a regular life, and everybody else following suit, because demons are no more, which means demon slayers would be no more as well. And that's would be the end of Demon Slayer and the end of this What If. Like I said, it was going to be a shorter one because I was like, I really want to do this, but frankly, if you just kind of talk about the Zenkai boost that he normally gets, he just gets so much stronger just from Zenkai boost alone that he becomes an absolute freak of nature in terms of fighting capabilities and strength. But if you guys enjoyed, nonetheless, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. Yeah, it was a little shorter than your typical one that I've been doing, but I hope you guys still enjoyed nonetheless, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.